Hello there, and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me here today. As you've likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez. I'm your host here on the podcast. And before we dive into today's topic, I will quickly introduce myself just in case we're new friends, and then we'll jump on in. Now, as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help dream-chasing horse business owners like yourself to ditch the marketing overwhelm, get the clarity you've been craving, and grow your business in a way that meets your personal definition of success. Now, I do this primarily through business coaching and then education as well, such as this podcast and some online learning resources I have for you. All that I do, friends, is so that you, as an equestrian entrepreneur, can be out in the barn or the arena or behind the camera lens or behind the computer, wherever it is that you are serving the equine industry. I want to help you do more of that. And so here on the podcast especially, you'll get a mix of step-by-step strategies, essential how-tos, and entrepreneurial mindset shifts that will help you not only see what's possible for your business, but I'm also here to guide you through that process so you can make it happen. And today we are doing that by way of evaluating your offers. I want to give you some proven ways that you can increase the value of your offer so that you can sell more of it. Now, here's the question. How do you know if you have something that people are going to buy? So sometimes when I work with equestrian entrepreneurs, they will come in and say, I have this idea. And then my question to them is it what people are asking for? Is it what people want? I've had more than one person come to me and say, no one's asking for this, but this is what I know people need. And you can sell something like that. But if you're going to do that, I want you to especially walk through these 4 things. But even if there's something people are asking for and you're creating a product for that, or for example, you have a service that you are selling, that's your offer. It can be products or services. How do you know it's going to sell well? Well, again, hopefully people are asking for it, but there are actually some specific things that you can do as you create or as you evaluate an existing offer. And that's what we're going to dive into today. Now, let's back up and talk about this idea of offers. I want to break this down simply because I know that sometimes on a marketing-focused podcast, the marketing jargon might be what's keeping you from diving in and learning more. And that's never my goal here. This is an episode that every equestrian entrepreneur needs to save, listen to, and apply in their business. And as I've mentioned before, in order to build your equine business, you need to have an income, right? And how do you get that income? By selling your products and services. In other words, you create an offer and people buy it. So what is the offer? The offer is not your business, okay? I want to make sure we separate those things. So inside of your business, you may have multiple offers, especially if you're a product-based business, you certainly do. But some of you listening may only have 1 or 2 service offerings, and then you have something else. So I'll give you an example. In my business right now, I have an offer for one-on-one coaching that is ongoing. I have an offer that is one-on-one coaching where we just meet for 60 minutes one time. It's a clarity coaching call, and that's it. You just come in for that one coaching call. So I have 2 coaching offers, right? Ongoing support, and then 1 hour, and that's all that you need. And then I have some online education offerings, and each of those are separate offers, okay? And so for you and your business, what are the offers that you have? So if you're a body worker, for example, you may have a one-time session offer, and then you maybe have another that is a package where you're offering a package of services or a package of multiple sessions over a set period of time. Maybe you're doing an in-person clinic and you're teaching people how to work on their own horses. That would be a separate offer. So I hope you see where I'm going with this. The offer here is the specific item that they're selling or that you are selling. It's not just your business. So when I'm encouraging you today to increase the value of your offer, what I want you to have in mind is an offer, okay? Not the entire business as a whole. So the question becomes, how do we sell more of our offers? For some of you, maybe you're trying to figure out, how do I get people to pay the price that I want to charge for my offer? That's a common question. And actually, next week on the podcast, we're going to dive into that concept of pricing and how to raise your rates and some things to consider. So stay tuned for that episode. But before you talk about price, you need to know that you have an irresistible and valuable offer that you are providing. And so that's what we're going to do today. Now, what I'm walking you through, these 4 proven ways that I'm going to show you, is actually coming from a book by Alex Hormozi. So these 4 drivers, these 4 elements of value came from his book, $100 Million Offers. I do recommend reading it. You can find it online very easily. Of course, I'll link to it in the show notes for this episode, which will be stormlily, LILY.com/171 for episode 171. So you can grab that book and go a lot deeper. What I'm teaching you here is just from one section of the book that I wanted to unpack together, but I do recommend the book. Now, in this book, as I said, he has a section on increasing the offer value, and he calls this the value equation. He says that those who understand value are the ones you're able to charge the most money for their services. So once you understand how to create a really valuable offer and what people value, then you're going to be able to raise your prices like we were talking about. All right. So here's the thing. When your clients and your customers see your offer and believe it's so valuable, they're willing to pay even more than the price that you've put down, then you know it's a win, right? So let's dive into these 4 key elements. This is the point where I want you to have a notepad handy, or I want you to save this episode and head to the show notes, or listen for the one thing you're going to take action on. So oftentimes I will listen to episodes and they have lots of nuggets and I love it. The different podcast episodes, of course, from other people. And I love the nuggets, but what I really learn from and what I grow from is when I take one thing and that's what I apply. And that's what I always encourage you guys to do. So if you're not taking notes, at least listen for the one thing you're going to start in your business based on what you learn here. Okay? All right, let's dive into these 4 drivers of value. They are the dream outcome, the perceived likelihood of achievement, the time delay, and the required effort and sacrifice. We're going to dive into each one of these, and you're going to get a little bit of practical examples for how you can apply this inside of your business, okay? Some questions to consider, ways to apply this so that you can increase the value of your offer in your equine business and so that you can sell more of that offer. Now, a reminder, we're talking about one specific offer here, okay? So as you listen, I want you to have a specific offer in your business in mind instead of just thinking of your business as a whole. All right. Essentially, think of this as a checklist. Okay. So we're looking to increase the value. How do we do that? Looking at these 4 drivers of value, we want to increase the dream outcome. We want to increase the perceived likelihood of success. We want to decrease the time to get to success and decrease the effort and sacrifice required. So let's look at how this plays out. The first, what we want to increase. Okay, to increase the value of your offer, you need to increase the dream outcome. So how do you do that? We're not looking here to create a desire because that's actually innate. Everyone in your audience, every potential customer for you has a desire that drives them and multiple desires that drive them. So your job as a business owner is to know what their desires are. Your job is to know clearly the dream outcome that you are providing through your offer and why it is so important to them. So here's what this looks like. When you understand this, you understand your audience, you understand what the dream outcome is for them and how your product, your service is going to help them get there, then in your marketing and in your messaging, you can accurately tell them what that dream outcome is. You can show them that you understand them. and you can explain clearly how your product or your service will get them from where they are to where they want to be. And where they want to be is where you're going to take them with your product, with your service, with your offer. So how do we do that? I want to encourage you to be willing to niche down and be very specific about how you help your audience. Oftentimes what happens is you have a niched down audience that you're serving and that you can serve, but you feel like in your marketing, it needs to be broad and you need to speak to everybody because your product or your service really will work for everyone. But what happens is that actually waters down your messaging. It is so much less effective. So let me give you an example. A very common example that I see in the horse world is I will help you build a partnership with your horse, which is lovely, by the way, and I believe you. But if you go a little bit deeper to really explain what that dream outcome looks like, then it actually builds more of a connection and they feel more, they believe you more, they feel more connected, they feel more understood, okay? And they understand how what you are doing is going to help them get where they want to go. That's the key, is understanding that dream outcome is what they have as their dream outcome. So we have build a partnership with your horse, or this is an example, and it's from Mustang Maddie. She is not one of my clients, just so that I tell you guys that because I often tell you client stories. So I want to be very clear that you don't think that every story I share with you is a client of mine. So I always like to let you know when it is and when it is not. So Mustang Maddie is not a client of mine, but I know that she has done the work to dig in to speak to her people because listen to this. On her website, she says, I teach compassionate horse owners how to connect with their horses and solve behavioral issues without force through my signature step-by-step program in the Horse Human Connection Academy. Okay, so the offer clearly is the Horse Human Connection Academy. And I know many of you have digital offers, so this applies to you, all right? It applies to all of you, but you can see that connection. She is breaking it down. What's the dream outcome? Well, I want to be the compassionate horse owner. That really speaks to them. They want to connect with their horses. They want to solve behavioral issues without force. So some of these keywords that she has put in there allows her to show how she has niched down and allows her to speak directly to the dream outcome of the people that are best fit for working with her. Now, that's the important thing for you to also remember. It's the dream outcome for your ideal audience, and that's going to be unique and different from the rest of the world. And that's an important part of this process. So I want to encourage you, as you evaluate your offer, as you look to increase the value, how specific are you in the dream outcome that they are going to get from working with you? Have you really done the work to understand why connection, for Maddie, it was connection, but why this desire matters to them? What is the deeper desire that you're connecting to? Are you solving a real problem that people have and they see that gap? That all comes down to increasing the dream outcome. And when you do that and make it very clear, you're increasing the value of your offer. All right, the next one that you're wanting to increase is the perceived likelihood of success. This means that people believe it's going to work for them. That's what it means. They believe, okay, it's likely I can have success because of your product, your program. It's likely my horse will be a better athlete. It's likely my horse will be in good health. It's likely my horse will perform better. All of these things, there's certainty there because they have increased the perceived likelihood of success. They believe your offer, your product, or your service will work for them. And your job as a business owner is to increase that certainty, okay? People value certainty. So as you look at your offer, as you look at how you're marketing it, I want you to consider if you're showing your potential customers that it will actually work for them. Now, you can do this through videos. You can do this through stories. You can do this through testimonials. You can do this through case studies, through guarantees. You can have sales page copy, emails, social media, product descriptions that answer their questions and address their objections. These are all ways that you can increase the perceived likelihood of success. Your goal here is to answer the question that they have in their mind. Will this really work for me? Okay? Everyone is asking that question as they evaluate, do I want to put my money into this? Will this work for me? Will this work for my horse? Will this work for my family? Okay? Because they're also thinking the opposite side. They're thinking it won't. Okay? What's happening here psychologically is they're thinking, you don't know me. You don't know my riding history. You don't know my horse. You don't know my personal story or my injury. You don't know what my horse has been through or what we've been through together. I don't have the skills. I don't have the tools. I don't have whatever, right? They're thinking of these things of why it's not going to work for them. And so your job to increase the value of your offer is to show them why it will. And as you do that, you are going to help people to see how valuable your offer is, and they'll be more likely to buy. Okay, so those are the two things we are increasing, okay? We are increasing that dream outcome, and we are increasing the perceived likelihood of success. Now, what about what we're going to decrease, okay? We want to decrease the time it takes to get to success, the time it takes to succeed. When you are wanting to increase the value of your offer, people are looking at the time frame from when they buy and when they receive the promised benefit, that dream outcome. They're evaluating that. And the shorter the distance between when they purchase and when they get that value of the benefit, the more valuable your offer is going to be to them. Okay, so in the book, Alex provides a really practical example of this. He's in the health and fitness world. So I typically love to give you equine examples, horse business examples, but I think this one really hits home in terms of people's psychological buying process. So the example he gives is that people who are willing to pay, say, $25,000 for plastic surgery and liposuction and like the quick win when it comes to their health and beauty versus the people who struggle to want to pay $100 a month for a gym membership. Now, the cost of that, right, just the dollar amount is drastically different, and so is the time to success. The reason people are willing to pay for that $25,000 versus $100 a month is the guarantee that they're going to have that instant output. The benefit that they want is going to come more quickly. Now, for those of you listening who are saying, yeah, Denise, but I'm in the horse world, so that's different. Yes, you can say it's different in terms of the horse. I train horses. And so the horse's timeline is the horse's timeline. 100% I get that. And that's part of what makes you unique and what you bring to the horse world. And you can communicate that. But what I also want you to know is that when people are buying, they are considering this. So just address it from the get-go. But also know that some of you are creating digital products. Some of you are creating educational programs. And so it's not just about the horse's process and progress. It's also about their progress and the process you're going to walk them through and what they're going to learn in a certain amount of time, what they're going to be able to achieve in a certain amount of time. And you can communicate that and you can break that down tangibly. Okay, so yes, there's always going to be this factor of it depends. And I understand that, and especially as you work with horses. And at the same time, you can show what's possible. When people do the work, here's what's possible, right? When you spend the time with your horse consistently, here's what's possible. And you can address that, okay? Because yes, they're going to understand that it may take a different amount of time, but they're still looking, they still have in their mind as they're evaluating your offer, what's the time commitment required to get the end result, okay? Now, the other thing I want you to consider in this idea of decreasing the time to success. As a business owner and provider, you also can help with this process in terms of asking, How can we make this faster? But also, how can we show progress? So you can help psychologically to decrease the time it takes to get to success by giving them milestones to watch for. Okay, so giving them things that they can measure that help them to see progress. Also, it can be for you if you're providing a program, say that I know many of you. So I'm using this example because I talk to so many horse business owners who are wanting to create online educational type programs. And so as you do that, you have the opportunity to build into this ways that you can help them to show progress. Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe progress is consumption of material. So perhaps it's, did they watch, how many hours of video have they watched? And then how many hours have they spent outside with the horse applying what they've learned? Can that be a part of showing progress? So there are some things that you can do creatively that don't just decrease the time, but it decreases mentally the perceived time for success. And if they see that progress, it's going to increase the value of your offer. Okay, so just to bring it back to remind you why we're talking about this, it's increasing the value of your offer. So some of this, I'm not saying you edit your offer as much as you maybe change how you're presenting it and you let people see what's possible. Okay? All right, so I know that one's a little bit different in the horse world, but it still applies. And it is still important for you to understand that from a buying perspective, as people are evaluating your offer, they're looking at this element. All right, the last thing that you're going to look at decreasing is effort and sacrifice. Now, again, horse people, I hear you. Denise, it's going to take effort and sacrifice. That's what we do. We're hard workers. And I get that 100%. If I've talked to you here on the podcast about if you want the fruit, you've got to put in the labor. That's true in your marketing. It's true in your business. It's true for your clients and customers as well. However, let me just remind you why we're here, increasing the value of your offer. So step back for a moment and just remember, we're looking at how we can help people that are looking at your offer, your product, your service, and they are considering, will this work for me? What's going to be required from me? Can you creatively decrease the amount of effort and sacrifice required? And now let me give you a really practical way you can do this. And I've talked about this here on the podcast recently, where we evaluated your customer journey. And that is looking at if the customer journey in terms of buying is even simple enough, right? Imagine that they're ready to buy, but the process is frustrating. It doesn't work well on mobile. They never get on their computer. And so it's requiring a lot of effort and a sacrifice of time and mental energy to get this done. That reflects on the value of your offer, okay? If you can make it simple, then that increases the value in their mind. Now, another way that you can decrease the effort and sacrifice required is to provide tiered pricing options. So, for example, when somebody comes and just trusts you implicitly and says, I want you to take care of everything, and it's taking things off of their plate, removing the personal effort, time, energy, and sacrifice they have to put into it, that's value to them. That is valuable to them, okay? And so you charge more, yes, because feasibly it's going to cost you more, and they're more willing to pay it because it requires less of their personal energy, effort, and sacrifice. But maybe you have another tiered option that requires a little bit more from them, a little bit less from you, and so it's still valuable, but the pricing reflects the difference. Okay. So if you want to boost the appeal of your offer, you need to show them that the effort and sacrifice, how do I say that? You need to decrease the amount of perceived effort and sacrifice. How can you make it easier? So again, let's go back to the technology piece. If it takes me a lot of effort to figure out how to use your membership platform and digest the videos, that decreases the value of the offer. I might think you're a brilliant person and you have a lot to share educationally. Okay. So I'm going to pay. And then once I get in there, I'm like, this is so frustrating. This is so hard to maneuver around and find what I need. It is not easy. It's not been a seamless experience. That decreases to me the value of the offer, and I may be no longer willing to pay the monthly membership. Okay, so it's not just about how does the effort and sacrifice work in terms of how they're working with their horse or what the exercises are they need to do to improve their balance in order to be a better rider, right? Yes, effort and sacrifice will be required to get results. But how can you make that process easy for them? Can you give them a checklist? Can you give them a success path, right? Let me speak to this for a moment because I see this often. I will see people say, I have a membership and I'm so excited to be able to tell you I have thousands of hours of video inside my library and you're going to find videos on everything under the sun. Okay, so let's step back and think about this from the value of your prospective clients and customers. When they hear that, that actually does not increase the value in their mind because what's happened? Instead of decreasing the effort required to find what I need, you have increased the effort required. It's going to take me longer to go in and find what I need, figure out how I can save that video so I can come back to it, than it would if you would have just said, here are the first 5 videos I want you to watch. If you're dealing with this, here are 5 videos. Like maybe you're organizing your content based on categories and collections. Just even that step decreases the effort and sacrifice required to consume and get that dream outcome. So I hope this is helping you to see that effort and sacrifice is not just about, well, my clients and customers, they should be willing to do the work. If they want to get the outcome, they're going to have to do the work. Yes, and it's your job as a business owner to make that process more seamless, to make it easy for them to maneuver, for them to understand your frameworks, your processes, all of those things, okay? All right, so to recap, all right, for you, and again, if you're not taking notes, you can get all of this. I will highlight this conversation on the show notes so you can jump over there for that. But as you look at the value of your offer and you're saying, I don't know why people are not buying, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Can I increase the dream outcome? Can I get more clear? Can I nudge down? Can I increase the perceived likelihood of success? Am I sharing stories? Am I sharing testimonials? Am I providing a guarantee? Am I answering and addressing objections? All of those things will increase the perceived likelihood of success. And then ask yourself, can I decrease the time it takes to get to success? And if I can't decrease the actual time, can I decrease the perception? And can I decrease the effort and sacrifice required to get that dream outcome? So I want you to save this and ask yourself these things. But I have one more note for you on this idea. Okay, one thing that Alex mentioned in the book that is so important. Perception is reality. It's really not about how much you increase your prospect's likelihood of success or decrease the time delay to achievement or decrease their effort and sacrifice. That in itself is not valuable, he says. The prospect needs to perceive these things. So here's an example that he gave. It's directly from his book. Actually, I'm going to read this one paragraph to you so that I get it correctly. Okay, so he says, a prime example of this happened in the London tunnel system. The biggest increase in rider satisfaction was not from faster trains to decrease the wait times. Actually, they had a simple dotted map that showed them when the next train was coming and how long they had to wait. The dotted map decreased their perception of time, delay, and sacrifice. The sacrifice of standing there, being bored, and waiting. And it did that more than actually making the trains faster. So they spent a few $1 million to increase the perception rather than billions of dollars, which would have been making the trains faster. And so you can look at the ways, again, that you can increase or decrease the perception creatively without having to completely overhaul your product. Your offer might be great, And it's the perception, it's the messaging, it's the marketing that needs to be redone, reevaluated, revamped in order to sell more of your product or your service. And that starts, my friend, with knowing your audience inside and out. That's why in my free marketing success guide, that's the first step. We start with your audience when it comes to crafting effective marketing and messaging for your equine business. So if you have not grabbed my free success guide yet, I invite you to do that. It is 4 steps to successfully market your horse business, even if you get horses more than marketing. You can grab that at stormlily.com/success at any time. Or like I've said before, head to the show notes. I have all the things there for you, and that's at stormlily.com/171. But I definitely want you, my friend, to evaluate your product and your service against this checklist. Every time you come up with a new product or service, come back to this episode. Or if you're headed into a launch season, come back to this episode. Ask yourself these questions. Evaluate your sales page. Evaluate your sales copy, the email marketing that you're doing. These 4 elements are what are going to help you to sell more of your product and your service. That's all I have for you today. Stay tuned next week because we are going to dive into some pricing strategy. And I would love for you to share this with a friend. If this episode was helpful to you, would you send it over to a friend? Think of that one. I'm sure you have one business friend in mind that you guys have talked about some of these things before. Let them know this is a helpful resource. It's completely free. So share it on social media, tag somebody, tag me, let others know this is available because I promise you, every week I will continue to be here bringing you helpful information so that you can build the equestrian business of your dreams. Thanks so much for joining me here today. I'll see you back soon. Have an awesome day.